What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Millsy, back with Hometown Commander, back for another episode of Millsy Brews, the show where I brew version 1.0 decklist of the commander in front of us in my quest to brew the magic world. You know the motto, baby. It's ABB, always be brewing, and that's what we're back to do today. The deck list is going to be down in the description for you below, as well as I'd really appreciate it if you could interact with the video, like, comment, subscribe, consider doing all that YouTube stuff. I'd appreciate it. But today, we're finishing off Transformers Week by taking a look at Ultra Magnus Tactician, a 7 mana or 5 mana if you want to cast around the backside Naya robot. Front side it says whenever Ultra Magnus attacks, we can put an artifact creature from our hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. And if we do, we convert it at the beginning of at the end of combat. And on the backside, it says whenever it attacks, attacking creatures you control get indestructible till end of turn. And if those creatures have power 8 or greater, we get to flip it over. I think this is a really interesting commander because I think cheating in artifact creatures is really fun. Obviously, there's some really huge, important artifact creatures, right? We can cheat in, but at the same time, the backside giving them all indestructible is really huge because I think you can give any of our tokens that we would make in the deck. There's a lot of artifact creatures that make tokens. We can give them indestructible. It can really just lead to big attacks, which I think is what we want to do. Anyway, so I want to give a quick thank you to the channel members. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you're interested in seeing all of our video early for just $1 a month, consider checking it out down below the video. As far as cheating artifact creatures in, I mean, there's a lot that I'm sure people are going to think of. I think the obvious one is going to be something like Blightsteel Colossus, right? 12 mana, 11 of them, trampled, infect, indestructible. Going to make it hard to deal with, right? And potentially could knock somebody out with that infect. Angel of the Ruins, when it comes in, exiles up to 2 artifacts or enchantments, could be really nice removal. Ancient Stone Owl gets a little bit cheaper to cast for each attacking creature, just a 12 with trample, so it could be cast in otherwise. I think the other thing I wanted to keep in mind when I was picking these creatures to cheat in, right, is that we want to pick creatures that we wouldn't mind hard casting if we have to. I think that's the thing that can be kind of awkward about a deck like this, is if you just pick a ton of arbitrarily large artifact creatures you could never cast, they could just be stuck in your hand, Cityscape Lover, an 8 mana 8/8 that whenever it comes in or attacks, we get to destroy 1 non-land permanent. Great piece of removal. Metalwork Colossus, just a big 11 mana 10/10. It can be brought back to our hand. Mirror Battlefield comes in and makes a bunch of mirror, and then whenever it attacks, you can tap those mirror to give it a buff, which isn't bad at all and can deal out some damage as well. But I like, again, you come in and get the tokens, and then if you wanted to attack with those tokens, if we buff them with other abilities, they can get indestructible right off of Ultra Magnus's backside. Triniform, big 9/9 that when it dies, makes 3 Phyrexian Golem tokens. Pirate Gearhawk from the new set, whenever it comes in, other creatures get +2/+2 Vigilance and Menace until end of turn, so it can come in and really make those big boys hard to block. Rust Goliath can be put down as a 10/10 Reach Trampler. We love it, right? Nice big damage. Salvation Colossus comes in as a 9/9 with flying and trample. And then whenever you attack, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and indestructible in a turn. So on a future, right, on a future combat, right, you get the ability to spend out that indestructible. Triplicate Titan is a big 9/9 with flying and trample. And then when it dies, you get a 3/3 Golem with each of its 3 abilities. And then Wormcoil Engine, put another pretty classic artifact creature, Deathtouch Lifelink. And then when it dies, it makes you a 3/3 Worm with each of its abilities. So a lot of artifact creatures, and that's just some of them. There's more in the deck, but I think you kind of get the idea. These big artifact creatures that give real value. But then we're just going to pair on top of them with creatures that either buff them or just make them better. Something like Cyberman Squadron, we could also cheat in as well. But it says non-legendary artifact creatures we control have Myriad. So all those big artifact creatures are going to get Myriad attacking everybody. Illustrious Wanderglyph makes a gnome at the start of everybody's upkeep. And then once you hit the City's Blessing, it's handing out +2/+2 to each other artifact creature we control. A great ability, making those big guys a little bit bigger, but also making those 1/1s a little bit bigger, making them more palatable for guaranteed damage at 3/3s versus 1/1s, right? Low Shield prevents all combat damage will be dealt to attacking artifact creatures we control, help protect them right in those combats they're going to get in. And then whenever one or more artifact creatures come in, we get to draw a card. But again, there to protect them as we start attacking, right? Ovia gives all of our all creatures that are attacking one of our opponents trample. So all of our creatures are going to get trampled, and then she can help cheat in those artifact creatures as well if if we need to get multiple down in a turn. Sonic Screwdriver can make a creature unblockable if need be, but also has the option to untap or untap another artifact if we need to do that. I just like the ability to give a key something unblockability, especially something like Blightsteel. Right, get in for big damage. And he joins up another nice one that's going to let Magnus trigger twice, which is really nice, letting him cheat in multiple things, right, each combat, and making sure we hit in hard. And then, of course, paired up with something like Garruk's Uprising and things like it to give our whole board trample. Again, these big artifact creatures don't all have trample, so giving them trample, right, is where we can really take advantage of us being in green, right, to make them hit really hard. Mirari's Wake can double up on our mana and give us a buff. And then Tempered Steel, right, just flat increasing all of our artifact creatures. The truth is, a lot of the hit harder stuff is really just support stuff in the back end, right? Where we want to find the right things, we want to get cheated in, cheat them in, and just wreak havoc. But I've said it before on the show, and I'll say it again. No deck's ever complete. This is my version 1.0 shot at Ultra Magnus, and I think in testing, what we'd want to learn is, do we have enough? Do we have enough big mana creatures? I thought about something like Meteor Golem. It just didn't make the cut. I like it. I think it's a good card, and destroying that thing is a really nice effect. It's what I think I like about the Cityscape Leveler. Coming in and destroying something. The thing I didn't explore too much in this brew. I mean, I have a little bit of it, but we could always use more as something like Full Throttle or extra combats. If we could take multiple combats, we might be able to get Ultra back to on his front side and be able to cheat in something again. And then the deck's playing protection, but there's always more stuff like Dawn's Truce just to help protect our board. Because, obviously it's going to be very easy to wipe our board and reset our progress, right? So anyway, we can kind of protect our board and keep it hemmed in. It's going to be really important. But let's get into playtest number 1. Keeping a 4-laner with Salvation Engine, a great way to get artifacts back from our graveyard. Paladin Dance. He's an artifact creature, so it can benefit from all of our buffs, but we can exile her to give each creature we control it's an artifact or human indestructible on a turn. And then there's the threefold Thunderhawk. So it's a really nice thing to get down with Magnus. Remember, the Salvation Engine can't because it has to be a creature. But still useful, right, with a Salvation Engine because we could still get it down, start bringing things back. Here, I think we'll just crack that Nature's Lore, get ourselves closer to the 7 mana for the front side, but I don't think we even matter the back. I don't think we even mind the backside for 5, right? As long as we can get ourselves started on our mana, we can always get that backside flipped over once we get enough creatures in, right? And it's good to remember that how that flip is being calculated, right? So we know where we need to be. So coming into turn 4, we're just 1 mana off getting Magnus in on the backside. So I guess we'll just get that Chromatic Lantern down. Just to save ourselves from anything that comes there. And then turn 5, I think I'll get Magnus in on the backside. It can attack this turn if we wanted to, but nothing to attack with it, which is A-okay. So now this turn, we'd ideally want to get it attacking, right, to trigger up on some abilities. We could get the Anti-Joins just in for next turn. But the truth is, at the moment, right, we need to get to its power to flip back over. I think I play the Salvation Engine this turn. That way I can play something like the Mance to crew it next. The Dance to crew it next turn. That way we can fulfill its 8 power to turn back over. Right? There is the Kadama's Reach. So Mance plus Kadama's Reach doesn't seem like a bad idea. Go get, I think we're good on Plains. We'll get a Force and tapped and a Mountain to hand. And then now the Mance, it cannot crew the Salvation Engine. Why was I thinking it could? I guess I didn't look at the crew, so that's on me. Well, I guess it does give it +2/+2, so it'd be a 5/5. I guess I could still, yeah, that was on me to not pay attention to what the crew of the Salvation Engine is, but that's okay. We just need to, I guess, one more turn, right, to get to where we need to be on that one. So here, now we're up to 8 mana. Thunderhawk 7. And this isn't a bad idea. I know that it'd be one we might potentially want to cheat in, but my thought here is it comes in with 3 counters on it, right? It makes 3 gnomes. each of these gnomes are 3/3s because of the engine, so they can actually crew the engine this turn, right? Then we can attack with the Mance, it, and the engine, flipping Magnus back over, right? So now next combat we can cheat in that Triniform for free, right? And now we're in good shape in that sense, because now we have a way to get things back if they get destroyed. We have a way to things protect things, and we have at least one that we can start cheating in. So here I think we just play the anti-joins up, deal 5 damage to something, and then we can get the extra triggered ability. And then I think I would just go to combat and attack, right? Bring the Triniform in, tapped and attacking. Right, crew the Salvation Engine again, make a couple more gnomes, and just now you have this nice attacking party that's getting off. We have a little bit of protection here. We have some one-sided board wipe if we want to there. And I just think we're in overall great shape. Remember, we're a bracket 2 deck, so we're doing kind of what we expect, right? 4-lander here with for Playtest 2, Rhythm of the Wild, Arcane Signet, and Wanderglyph again. So we don't mind this. We got a good section of lands. We're working our way up towards that. I like seeing the Thousand-Mood Smithy. That gives us a nice gnome soldier, which is going to grow. And then the backside can get us more gnome soldiers over the course of the game. I guess that Cinderglade has a tough chance of probably coming in tapped either way, right? So we get Magnus in on the backside. That's making that gnome a 4/4 right now. So next turn we can attack and flip it over. We got the 5. I kind of like the idea of, do we try to go Rhythm of the Wild to give that Wanderglyph haste, or do we just, I think we'd probably just deploy it, right? Attack with these two. Magnus flips over. Weren't quite there yet. I'm flipping the Smithy over. But now, right, because we're getting gnomes on everybody's turn, now when it comes back to our turn, we can tap these 4 and probably just something like Arcane Signet, right, to get the barracks flipped over. And now if we use to cast a creature or an artifact spell, we can get another gnome. Which we can't this turn, right, because we just don't have enough. But the nice part is we're getting these nice buffs now to these creatures, which can really attack. We have something like the Akroma's Will as a threat to our opponents. Magnus would just be a 9/9 right now with double strike, but could be a real big attack. We have the protection from the Boros Charm as well. There's a lot of things up, removal and that. We could just get something like the Rhythm of the Wild down if we want to, but I kind of like the idea of just leaving this suite up. We can still attack. Still hitting in for 9 off Magus, right, because of the Wanderglyph. The Wanderglyph buffs that gnome soldier to 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's 11, big attacks. If somebody goes through unblocked, we could give it, double strike if we wanted to, but really we're just waiting on something else to cheat in. And there's honestly a nice something else, because this comes in, gets you another gnome, gets 3 more gnomes, right, because it gets those counters on itself. And now we're in a kind of position last time where we got some big attacks, right, with all these 3/3s, but can be pressuring in, and then, Magus can give it some indestructible next turn, right, when we attack again. But we'll get into our last playtest. These ones are going kind of quick, because truthfully, like, here at bracket 2, we're either moving or we're not, right? But I think it's kind of cool to see that cheat in go off, right? 3-lander here with a Rapid Growth, and that Clear Cutter can come down and tap for a mana as well. So we're going to be able to hopefully work our way up towards getting Magus down to get that, to get that Blightsteel down, start having some fun with it, right? So there, we're up to 3. Here up to 4 mana. We could Clear Cutter in for 1, or we could, wait and try to Clear Cutter again in later. It's kind of awkward, because if we don't Clear Cutter in, we're kind of wasting our mana. I guess if somebody had like a Arcane Signet or a Soul Ring, maybe you Sculpting Steel and just copy it. Let's say somebody had a Soul Ring in this scenario. Now we get Magus in on the backside. To our turn 7. Now we got 7 mana. Clear Cutter wouldn't be a bad choice. We could always reach. The truth is, either way, like, we need to get up to that that next threshold, and I feel like it's playing something like Bosch, right? So put the Clear Cutter in. This can attack. We just don't, have anything to convert it. And then here in the next turn, we can play Bosch if we want to. Though it doesn't have haste, right? Which is kind of the thing we need to flip Magnus over. Play Bosch, right? But he's just a sitting duck. Do we just Kadamas Reach and see what we can find off the next round? I guess Clear Cutter can tap for the Kadamas Reach, right? And then play Bosch. Just hope that, right, Bosch survives for our next turn, where we could then we'd have enough mana for Blightsteel that just doesn't have haste, right? We could get Magnus flipped over this turn, attacking with it and Bosch, and then on the next turn, right, cheat in Blightsteel. Little slower there. I would love to have seen maybe some more of our pieces like Eric's Uprising or anything like that to start drawing a little bit. But I think at bracket 2, it's to be expected that you're not always going to get those clear lines, right? And that's kind of the fun of this deck. I think there's a lot more to be explored with, what you cheat in. But I'd love to know what you think of Ultra Magnus and I. We'll catch you all in the next one.